This is a post-Christian podcast.
Welcome to the Revolution Church podcast.
All right, everybody, and welcome to Meet Your Congregation with me, Jay.
And me, Caleb.
Yeah, there you are. There's Caleb. We're in the home studio. Today we have an online listener and Instagram friend, Melisent. Did I say that right? Melisent?
Melisent.
You did.
Yay!
You said it right, Melisent.
Well,
Yes.
welcome to Meet Your Congregation. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Wow, it's cool to hear your voice. And always nice to.
Thank you. My voice is hideous. So thank you.
No, I like your voice. So I guess we always start off with just kind of like, well, one, welcome to the show, and then two is like, we're friends with you on Instagram. How did you find out about Revolution?
Well, I've known about you for a long, long time. My mother, when I was young, my parents, my mom had watched your mom and dad and was all into that. So, and after all that stuff happened, through the years, I just saw you on and off. And about almost a year ago, I was going through some things, and I had a what you would call a spiritual awakening. And I like to call it that I was given the grace of God. And that's one of the reasons that I was so drawn to you, is because your fellowship is so centered around that grace. And that's, but I've been, I was born punk rock and I will die punk rock. So I immediately, bonded with you, even visually, just even all these years. I just followed you and all the things that had been going on with you. And I just can relate to so much of it. So that's what brought me to you.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Life is weird and kind of tough, huh?
Well, it is. I have a great life and things are wonderful. A while back, they were not.
What did you mean by that? The spiritual awakening? What was that?
Okay, well, I was having some issues, and at some point, I kind of wanted to talk to Jay about this at some point in the future.
Okay.
Because I'm really weird about talking about to anybody about personal things.
Yeah.
Don't share anything you don't want to, obviously.
That's okay, but what really bonded me with your message is that I had what I call a supernatural spiritual awakening, or given the grace of God in a supernatural way, and I do talk about that because I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of what God had did for me, and but once that happened, I just kind of got into a state where I was like, where do I go now? And so I've kind of been in that state for the past almost year of, you're supposed to fulfill your needs to God after that and worship and things like that. But it's just kind of been hard for me because I live in a really tiny town. I'm raising my children there for a reason. And but I did have a supernatural awakening. And that's the reason I say spiritual awakening, is for people that have drug and alcohol issues. They understand that term.
Yeah.
And yes, and unless it's happened to you, you just simply do not understand the full impact of it. And it was important for me to share that with you, Pastor Jay, because I know how important that message is for you. And what happened with me was so profound and so strange that I just, all I do now is simply, a lot of people don't know that I'm Christian and that I love Jesus, but unless they know me, because I do.
Right.
And yes. And I don't know. Things are so good for me now. I'm just in a position of, once the negative was taken out of me and, it was gone, there just kind of was nothing left. It was almost like a void of emptiness that, I've just been trying to not even really trying to feel, just living with, every day since then, if that makes any kind of sense.
No, it does. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I just need to find like I said, a way to serve and to carry out my purpose because my obligation to God is because he gave me mercy and he put his grace on me. So that's where I'm at.
Cool. Are you involved in 12 steps?
No. I never did. No, I never did any of that. When I stopped, I stopped.
Yeah.
That day when it happened, it was gone. It was, what had happened is, all right, I'll share it.
If you don't have to, if you're not comfortable.
You don't have to.
No, I will. I just to give you a tiny bit of insight of what I'm talking about. When I was 12, from 12 to 27, I was a heroin addict. I stopped using heroin when I was 27, and I started drinking. And, I was just using drugs and alcohol my entire life, except for when I was not pregnant with my twins. I didn't have my twins until I was 39, 40 years old. And they're just turned 10.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. So, anyway, I just, the night that it had happened, I prayed and prayed and prayed to God, and for years I'd been praying to God, I'm an introvert. I've always, been not around a lot of people. I'm not comfortable in big situations and things like that. And I've always prayed throughout my whole life, Lord, please just, take this away. When you pray for God to take your anxieties and cares away, that kind of thing. I just was all constantly doing it. Never happened. It never happened. But I always remained loyal to God all these years. I was, raised my kids in their church and blah, blah, blah. But I just needed some spiritual help for myself, for mental health wise, especially. And the Lord saw fit to give me his grace at that. He waited at his particular time and gave it to me right then. And when I woke up the next morning, and as God is my witness, no pun intended, it was gone. And I've never, ever, ever had any craving. I've never had nothing. Wow. Absolutely nothing. That's the grace of God right there.
That's amazing.
And then not only that, what the mercy of it was that my health was not very well at that time. And, because when you're using and drinking, I was a functioning person. I have 2 college degrees. I've done all these things with my life, never been in trouble with the law, blah, blah, blah. But I just, he gave me his mercy by not punishing me, but by restoring my health. Wow. And I believe that was the mercy that came after the grace. I just cannot express how life changing. Everything about me changed, and that's what I mean by supernatural. Yeah, the giving of grace, because things, And I had PTSD, and I've had it I've had it since I was in my early 20s. I was kidnapped when I was in my early 20s for a week, and I just never was quite right after that. Wow. I mean, I never tell people about that, but I was just never quite okay about that. And, that's probably one of the reasons that, and many others, why I was always self-medicating. I've tried every, medication in the book since I was, since I was in my early 20s. And nothing ever worked for me. And I just cannot tell you what happened is supernatural. That's the only way I can explain it. There's no other words for it. Yeah. And whether people want to believe me or not, I don't care. I know.
That's good. Yeah.
And you can't explain it either. It's like you can't explain it unless it's happened to you. You don't know. You have no comprehension of how important and how real that is. Yeah.
We've been through some real trials.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's really, you're making yourself very vulnerable, and that's a special thing to share and open up like that. So thank you.
It is, and people, they know me online and things like that, and that's fine. Like I said, I don't share personal things, but one thing that I've always done for people, and one thing I believe that why I have a lot of followers is because, I try to be so positive to people, and I try to encourage a good message and just make people feel good.
Yeah.
And say, good things. Those little things really make people, feel good and stuff. But I've had a lot of people in my, since I've been on Instagram for quite a few years, ask me to do something like this. And I've said no, because I'm not comfortable with it. But with Pastor Jay, I absolutely am comfortable because you have been through some very similar things. And like I said, unless you've been through them, you just cannot simply understand.
Yeah, it's tough. I think empathy is really tough for people to grasp.
Absolutely. And especially when you say, yeah, I was a heroin addict for, the first quarter of my life, and people are but I use that that was a learning experience for me. I believe that God puts every single thing that you do and everything that happens right in front of you at all times. And you just follow what he's doing, and that's all you can do. We're not in control of any of it. It's just, it's God, and what he wants us to do and where our life's going to go. And me talking to you right now, that's God as well.
And I think it's cool for, folks to see, and hear that, who are other members in the congregation, because, everybody's going through their different hells and their different pains and their different hurts, and I think
a few hells.
I think that's where people can kind of learn to, that's where empathy comes in, is that, pain is pain. And suffering, suffering, and it's kind of a great equalizer. Mm-hmm. So I really appreciate the candor.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely it is, yes.
Wow. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I can't reiterate that enough. It's a powerful story that you have.
Thank you. I know, and I'm so excited today to be able to share that with you, Jay, and with you, Caleb. I absolutely was so excited. The opportunity that God put that opportunity in front of me, and I'm just absolutely honored. So.
It's cool how things line up sometimes. It's cool
that's right.
How you can meet people and strange coincidences happen sometimes.
Absolutely, they do. But I also believe those coincidences are from God Himself. So, absolutely, they are.
Cool.
Well, very cool.
I just want to clarify: are you comfortable with this all being aired?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure, because don't want to be invasive at all or anything.
No. I'm actually more comfortable that the video did not work.
Yeah. It can be funny. It can be awkward.
That's what I'm uncomfortable with, because nobody believes that I'm 48, and they're always like, how old are you? And I'm like, 48. And and I just, yeah. So to me, I look really crappy today. So that's why I didn't want to be on video.
You don't have to be so self-deprecating. You are totally
fine. I know. But I never do that. So can I ask you something, Jay?
Yeah.
Are you all the way heterosexual?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to ask that.
No, that's fine.
My mom was like, my mom was trying to tell me different, and I said, no, he is not. She's like, yes, he is. Yeah.
No, so yeah, I get that a lot. So.
Where'd your mom get her information from?
I had to ask that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
There's a lot worse things people could think.
You're not the only one who's made that assumption.
That one I just kind of laugh and live with, It's
That's
a compliment
right.
in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it is.
It is a compliment, because you do something well, and you stand for something that most people don't, and that's important.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, one of the things we're trying to do with working on Revolution is improve what we're doing. And I guess one of the questions we always ask is there anything that you think we could be doing more of, or better, or
stop doing?
Or stop doing?
No, I think you guys are doing great. I absolutely, Pastor Jay, think that you are wonderful. The only thing I don't like is that you guys are so far away. You know what I mean?
That's not a bad critique.
I'm a misfit.
That's flattering.
I know, but I'm a misfit too. So it's like I've never really fit in anywhere. And it's like, I kind of fit in with your motley crew, and I just wish that you guys weren't so far away.
Yeah, it's a bit of a...
That's the only thing.
Where are you located anyways?
I'm in Oregon.
Oregon.
I'm from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada.
Oh.
But I've lived in the States for a long majority of my life, but I'm from the Valley, Portland, Oregon.
Yeah.
But right now I live in Central Oregon.
Okay.
Because I'm raising my kids there. Yeah.
How long were you in Canada before you moved?
Oh, I was young, a teeny-tiny. I traveled. I worked for Thrasher magazine for 6 years when I was a kid. When I was young, so and I drove and helped with all that. So I got to drive around all over Canada, in my early 20s, around there, and late teens, and it was fun. But that's the last time I was back in Canada. I would give anything to be able to go back and live there, but I just don't have the means to do so.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Say the word about. How do you pronounce that?
Well, I don't say it like that. I don't say it cool like that.
You don't have the accent?
No, I don't.
No. I wouldn't have guessed. Cool. Well, thanks for giving us your time and being so candid. And if you change your mind about not wanting to share anything, let me know before this airs.
Nope, I'm totally good with it. Because maybe, I didn't say much, but maybe my tiny message might ring a bell with somebody or something. I don't know.
Oh, I think it will, definitely. It was very powerful and very straight to the point, and people need to know what, who we are.
Well, absolutely. If you're not transparent, then you're nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're very brave. You're being brave by sharing what you've shared, and we appreciate that.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Absolutely.
I'll see you on Instagram, and have a wonderful day.
Okay. You too. Bye, Caleb.
Right. Bye. See ya.
Pastor Jane.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.
We'd like to remind you that our ministry is supported 100% by listeners like you. To make your 100% tax-deductible donation today, please visit revolutionchurch.com/donate. You can also learn more by clicking the donate section on the website.
That was a Post-Christian podcast.